Hi, and welcome to this episode of We Know Plastics. My name is Kayla from the marketing department here at Primex, and today I have a special guest with me to talk about supply chain. This is Doug Borgsdorf, our business unit director, so I'm going to let him kick us off today on our topic.
Supply chain. It's one of the most important things that Primex looks at every day. Our customers value our ability to supply them quickly, efficiently with quality products, and that all comes from having good relationships with our supply base.
So when you say supply chain, you're talking about our supplier reliability. So can you tell me a little bit about how we evaluate our suppliers?
That's a big one that we spend a lot of time on. The first thing we always want to look at is a supplier that's financially strong. We want them to have financial strength, and we do that by supporting them with good payment terms and make sure that we support their growth as much as ours. We then evaluate them on time, quality, because that's what our customers expect from us, is an on-time product with good quality. So we evaluate all of our supply base on a quarterly basis, and then we track that. And then if there is some concerns, we collaborate with them, we meet with them and try and work with them to improve the expectations that our customers have, and so they understand our business. And our business isn't so much just focused on the customers, making sure we pull that supplier all the way to the customer, and that's a very important collaboration that we do.
It's a real relationship.
That's I always say today, people don't value relationships. Primex values the relationship, not only with our employees and our customers, but with our supply base, because without them, we don't have a business to operate.
And it benefits our customers as well.
It really does. We hear from our customers on a regular basis about concerns, whether it be weather related or trucking or shipping. And the world's gotten smaller. So, you used to say, oh, everything's based here in the US, and that's not the case these days. You have to be able to work your supply chain across the entire global industry to get your products in. And so that's important for us, and we get pushed on that from our customers. So they want to know that we're looking at reliable sources that can meet the needs that we have in the future.
So when you talk about having suppliers all over the globe, can you talk a little bit about logistics challenges with that?
Well, the logistics challenges are always changing, whether we have to bring things in a container through a shipping port, or if we're trucking things across the country, or we're using rail to transport. So there's always a lot of things you can have variables that come into. And the great thing with Primex is we've built our own trucking network, which really helps give us some security. If we need to move a product for our customer quickly and efficiently, we have our own trucks. We rely on our suppliers, and we rely on a lot of the different transit situations that we can call on to get our product. But when push comes to shove, if we need to, we can have our own trucks move a product to ensure our customers are meeting their needs.
That's great. That really helps the customer feel confident that they're going to get their product.
And that's the key. That's the key. That's what's built Primex for over 45 years. Actually, we're going on 60 years. I've been here so long, I forget that we're coming up on 60 years next year and being in business. And that is what our customers come to expect: is don't miss a delivery, don't miss the quality, make sure you're supporting our growth, and that's what's made us successful. And that's what's made a lot of our suppliers successful. We pay them on time, we work with them, and then we develop with them. We say our customers are looking for a new technology or a new product, and we collaborate with our suppliers on a regular basis. What new technologies can we take to our customers to improve their product offerings?
Okay, so tell me how sustainability plays into all of this.
Well, that's a huge part of what we do. When you're trying to develop products in the plastics market, plastics has a bad reputation, but plastics is very beneficial across the world. So when we're looking at ways we can help be more sustainable, we work with our customers where we bring back their scrap, we'll reprocess their scrap, we'll put it back into a product. The trick there is holding the quality. So when you're using plastics over and over again in the recycling stream, is having the technical capabilities to be able to meet the impact modification or the UV requirements for a recycled product. That's a little bit harder to do. And again, that's where we push on our suppliers to help support us in developing sustainable solutions for our customer base. So it's a whole collaboration: customer, suppliers, employees. Without it, it doesn't work. And then trying to find sustainable products that are also economical. So recycling plastics is difficult, it's a challenge. Our supply base has been very, very good at working with our technology team to develop products that we can then push to the market that are affordable and then sustainable. And I think that's where we want to continue to drive, is be able to offer a product with our supply chain, with our customers, that's sustainable but affordable for a consumer.
Really thinking about the future there.
We have to think about the future.
So can you tell me about how we determine demand forecasts and how that impacts our supply chain?
Yes, that's always a difficult one because the economy ebbs and flows. So, again, having that trust with your customer and having that trust with your supply base allows us to have open communication with both our supplier and our customer in the same room. We're talking about, what do we see coming in the fourth quarter? What do you need next year? What demand do you see coming down the pipeline? Where before was siloed, the suppliers over here, the Primex is here, and the customers there. We try to bring everybody to the coffee table, so to speak, and say, what do we need to make sure our customers can continue to grow? And then respecting our suppliers, because we're not their only customer. We get that, but we want to work with them to make sure that we're always on the forefront of the supply that we need to ensure our customers' success.
So how does that play into instances where there may be some kind of crisis or natural disaster or something like that?
Again, that's one of our great strengths, and we've seen this through our 60 years of business multiple times, whether that be hurricanes that we face or labor strikes or those things. Working with our supply base and communicating ahead of time allows us to never be short. So going into the pandemic, we didn't have shortages in plastics for Primex. We work, again, that's where you take care of your suppliers, they take care of you. So we look at all the different things that could come up, and then we also build safety stock. So we communicate with our customers, what do they need to have on the floor? If something did happen, how do we make sure we meet their needs, whether it be 30, 60, 90 days? And we look at different disasters or different crises in a different way. And it's nice that when you have a customer who's feeding you that information, because it also allows us to work with our employees and say, okay, here's where we need peak demand, here's where we don't, here's where we might have to work a weekend, so we can communicate that ahead of time. So it's just a great collaboration and respect, again, from the supplier all the way to the customer, which is so important.
So can you tell me a little bit about how adapting our supply chain changes our customers' expectations?
Oh, I mean, customers' expectations are challenged and changing every day. And they're going to push back on us as a supplier for us to meet their needs, because their needs change. Their end consumer wants more information. So we're always trying to advance our technical capabilities internally, but we also know that we have to rely on our supply base. And that could be anything from testing a product, which could be impact, it could be color variations, and so we work with the suppliers to do testing, and then we do testing, and it makes it very seamless for our customers, so they can get to the marketplace a lot quicker because they can rely on Primex and our supply base to meet their needs. And they change, and when they change rapidly, and so Primex has built a good supply base and a good team to change with our customers' needs.
So it really is a true collaboration.
Has to be an open collaboration, open communication. It can't be operated in silos. It has to be seamless, because we're going to hit bumps. And I think the more you communicate, the bumps are a little bit smoother. So the potholes aren't as big if you're seeing them come. So I think that's why it's so important that we communicate with both our customers and our suppliers.
So can you tell me currently what are some of the greatest risks facing our supply chain?
The greatest risk in our supply chain is, again, it's global. We'd love to say, hey, everything that we do is U.S. made. It's just not the way, we can't do that just because of the way the world has changed. So it's really a challenge to work with suppliers in India or Asia, and then Houston and Oregon. So you have to have a team that's really, really focused on that, because if there is a crisis, we have to be ahead of it. We have to have the boats on the water. We have to have the train moving from Oregon to Richmond. It's a critical juncture. But again, the communication that we've had, and knock on wood, we've been able to slide right past any bumps or bruises because of that relationship that we built.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the strategies that we have in place currently for our inventory management?
Well, it's great. We have a great inventory team that pays attention, and we have our Rob Hausman, who's our director of finance. He pays very close attention to our inventory because you never want your inventory too high, you don't want it too low. But again, what we do is forecasting with our customer base, understanding their needs, looking at historicals. We spend a lot of time looking at the seasonality of some of our business. So we know pretty well what we need to have on the floor to meet our customers' ever-changing demands. And then we always build a little extra in the pipeline, just in case there's an issue. And that's all automated, how we watch the inventory. But again, the human capital side of it's so important because something could happen. Somebody spills a Gaylord of plastic and we've got to clean it up and we can't use it. So there's a lot of variables, but the human capital side of watching the inventory is just as important as the technology that we use to manage it.
Is there anything else that you wanted to add, that you feel people might want to know about our current supply chain?
I think the important thing for people to realize when you're talking about a supply chain and a supplier relationship is the importance of looking at what we can do down the road. So, we always sit there and say, okay, we do this product, we do that product. Well, what's that product gonna need to do a year from now, 2 years from now? And we know you can only be so deep as a company on development. So we have a great development team, but then we work with our suppliers on what are you developing? How can we carry that through? And again, if you're not communicating and you're not treating your supply base just like you would treat a customer, you're gonna miss out on opportunities to develop together solutions that might be valuable 2 or 3 years from now. We go back and look at some of our products were 3 or 4 years in the making before they went to the marketplace. And that's because of our technology group working with a supply base that has deep technology roots. Primex can do so much, the customer can do so much, the supplier can do so much. The three of those together can do so much more. And that's why that open dialogue of having a customer who knows our suppliers. We're not scared to say, here's our supply base. Let's meet together. Let's talk about what do you need, Mr. Customer, Mrs. Customer, 3 years from now to be successful. And then push that back to say, okay, supplier, Primex, let's come up with a solution and bring it back to them. And it's important to have that many people working on a solution versus just one person sitting in a room. It doesn't work.
Absolutely. This has been so informative and eye-opening, and I thank you for being on here today and just talking to us a little bit about supply chain and what that means for Primex.
It's my pleasure. I mean, I would take this moment to say that Primex really appreciates our supply base. So being able to talk about the value they have to us is important.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode of We Know Plastics.